Elephants are some of the most emotionally intelligent animals on the planet, often forming deep bonds with humans. They're not just emotional giants, they're also known for their remarkable memory. But just how good is their memory? Can an elephant remember a human after 10 years? Get ready for an incredible story about an elephant that will leave you amazed. Make sure to watch until the end, as this is one of the most fascinating tales of animal-human connection you'll ever hear. Daphne Henkins, whose love for animals started at an early age, was born on a large logging farm near the village of Gilgil in Kenya. Her fascination with animals began when she visited a zoo for the first time with her father. Even as a young girl, Daphne realized how beautiful and unique animals are. She discovered the extraordinary feeling of being close to them and made a decision right then and there. She wanted to dedicate her life to helping animals and making them happy. She vowed to protect every animal she encountered. As time passed, Daphne grew up. She excelled academically, graduating at the top of her class. She was even offered a medical scholarship. A medical scholarship was not an offer made to students very often, and it was a very valuable offer. It was very special to have such an opportunity, especially as a young person in a country like Kenya, because conditions in this country were poor. But Daphne made an unexpected decision because she had a dream she wanted to fulfill. She met David Sheldrick, the man she would later marry. David was the founding director of Tsavo National Park. At the same time, his love for animals was noticeable to everyone. Just like Daphne, they were soulmates, and they loved each other very much and got married. Soon after, Daphne started working as a co-leader in this national park. For Daphne, working here was the fulfillment of the dreams she had had as a little girl. Everything was as beautiful as a dream. Together with the man she was in love with, they helped all kinds of wild animals. Among these animals, there were especially elephants who had lost their parents. They were saving elephants that had lost their parents for various reasons. These reasons included things like drought in the country, epidemics in animals, ivory trade. Of these, the ivory trade was the most ruthless. Poachers in the region would take the tusks of elephants and mercilessly slaughter these innocent animals in order to make tons of money. Unfortunately, this was a common occurrence here. Daphne and her husband David tried to take good care of the animals they rescued from such situations whenever they could. They taught the young animals useful skills needed to live in the wild. Then they took care of them safely until they could return to the wild. Their life was perfect. When she gave birth to baby Jill, Daphne and David's happiness was priceless. All Daphne's dreams had come true. She had her dream job. She had a family she loved very much. Unfortunately, life was not so rosy. Daphne would be devastated by the news she would receive in the future. After 17 years of happy togetherness, there was a great sadness. Daphne lost her husband, David. David died of a heart attack. After this death, Daphne found it very difficult to resume her life. She took time off from work to mourn for a while. Daphne's pain would not go away. She was so worn down that she considered quitting the job altogether. She couldn't bear the fact that she would now be without David in the place where she had worked with him for so many years. Something inside her again told her that this was all a sign. She knew she had to keep going, even though it was hard, not only for the little girl inside her, but also for David's dream. Daphne had no idea what a miracle awaited her. Daphne created her own national park. It was called Nairobi National Park. In this park, elephants and rhinos were the priority. Various efforts were made to prevent ivory poaching. Campaigns were organized. After a while, the national park was awarded Kenya's highest award in the animal welfare category. And it didn't stop there. Daphne was appointed as the female commander of the Order of the British Empire by order of Queen Elizabeth II. One day when Daphne came to visit the park, she saw an orphaned baby elephant that had just lost its parents. The baby had sadly lost its mother and didn't know how to hold on to life. Daphne felt very different about this baby. Of course, this was not the first time she had kept an elephant calf, but this baby elephant was very affectionate and felt different from the others. After a while, Daphne and the elephant became so attached to each other that it didn't want to eat during Daphne's 2-week absence. Daphne named this beloved elephant Kamba. She spent most of her time with Kamba. They played games and read stories together. At night, when Kamba was sleeping, Daphne went to him and hugged him quietly. Of course, Daphne loved all the animals in the park, but she had a completely different bond with Kamba. As much as Daphne wanted to keep Kamba with her, she sadly knew that one day she would have to say goodbye, and that day had come. Kamba was now old enough to go back to nature. In his place, other animals that needed help had to be brought in. Daphne hugged her baby Kamba one last time. This farewell was very hard for both of them. She let him go, no matter how much sadness she felt inside. Daphne thought she would never see Kamba again. She did not know what time would bring. Year after year passed. 28 years later, the park was still doing its job. Daphne was now an old woman. With the disabilities of old age, she could not be in the park as often as before. Now she could only occasionally come to the park and help. The work was exhausting for her because of the discomfort in her hip. But all this did not stop Daphne from coming to the park and helping as much as she could. She still spent time with and helped her elephants with great admiration. It was an ordinary spring day. Daphne sat quietly in the park. She felt peaceful. She was enjoying the moment with the calm. Suddenly, the silence was broken by a loud bang. Everyone was stunned. Strangely, a herd of elephants had landed in the area. It was quite a large herd. It seemed like an ordinary event, but these elephants were acting differently. The herd of elephants came to the entrance of the park and stopped there. At first, people didn't react much to this situation. But then, everyone, including the officials, started to get curious. Because the herd of elephants were standing there and not moving. What were they here for? What was the reason for them to come en masse and stand in front of the park? It was as if they were waiting for something. Some of the attendants thought the elephants might need help, but they didn't seem to have any problems. This news, of course, reached Daphne's ears. The old woman immediately packed up and came to the scene of the incident and was filled with excitement. Daphne had a lot of experience with elephants from her years of work, how to approach them, how to communicate with them. She understood it all very well. If anyone could solve this, it was Daphne. Daphne went to the elephants. It was an incredible scene. The strongest elephant in the herd stepped forward and moved towards Daphne. Daphne was so experienced that she immediately realized that the other elephant was someone who was familiar with humans. After a while, the old woman froze. "Are you Kamba?" Daphne asked. She walked towards her and hugged the elephant. Yes, this elephant was indeed Kamba, and Kamba gently hugged the old woman with his trunk. The little elephant whose life she had saved so many years ago, the little elephant she had raised so lovingly, was now standing in front of her, huge. Kamba had not forgotten his surrogate mother even after all these years. She came to him to thank him. Everyone else in the park was watching with tears in their eyes. Everyone admired the elephant's trust. The park welcomed this herd of elephants as guests once again after a long time. Then they went home again. As you can see from this true-to-life story, elephants have a very good memory. They do not forget even if years have passed. Please, don't forget to like the video, turn on notifications, and subscribe to the channel.